Welcome to episode 23 of the Reseller Information Network. 23, guys. Like, that's pretty amazing for us. We are super excited. As promised today, we are having, in honor of 23, we got a little Jordan action. Like, Cernoch's wearing the shark tooth. I brought Jordan in from the shed, little cutout from the 127 years ago. So we little Jordan action. But hey, we are so thankful for each and every one of you guys who have supported us in our journey thus far and for your continued support. So I do want to share a couple comments from the viewers. I do thank you guys, as always, for being a part. One of the first ones is Sal McCardio, one of the best. I always say his name wrong
One day
too.
you're gonna get that name right.
How do you say it? Macardio? Macardo?
Sal Micardo.
Macardo.
There you go.
I know it means Sal's merchandise. Like I know that's what it is really is in Spanish. But it's what he says one of the best 101s this past week. Great tip. Appreciate it, gentlemen. Uh, and then Joe Deals had a long commentary for mainly for you, Tim, about some of the things that y'all had talked about on him. He just shared a tip with the viewers as well. It says, "Yes, Tim, that was me, but it was more like, is there anything you were thinking of putting out and did not? And if and it's not about the things people don't think others would want. It could be fragile or a collection or something along those lines." He goes into great detail. Further than that, we have a bot that's trying to help us out with some extra comments and views, and it says, "You fixed my day." By YouTube views in the thing. So the curator of thrift says if you need any photos or specific names of the tools, hit me up. I still have all my books from when I did auto body and paint. And he also says if you have come across any of those tools, to hit him up as well because he does buy them for himself. There you go. So we do thank you guys for responding, leaving comments and questions, and we'll get to the questions here a little bit later. But in the meantime, we do want to introduce our guest today and also the guys. So first up, Cernoch, what's going on with that killer shark tooth you got?
Right, rocking the bulls, and look, if you can see right here, we got the Jordan posterized poster for episode number 23. I want to thank Danielle and Frankie for joining us today. Going to be a great show. Got a lot of cool topics to talk about. And yeah, we made it this far. We're going to keep going. So, yeah, excited about today.
Next up, as always, we do have our resident sports advisor. He I don't know that he's got Jordan. He's probably got him in a stack of cards right now, getting ready for the special whatnot. So,
Big shout out to everybody for joining us. As always, we appreciate all the love and the support. Most importantly, do not forget to drop those questions in the comment section of every video. That does give us a little bit of fuel to kind of keep moving forward and answering as many of those questions and helping as many people as we possibly can. That is our main goal here, obviously, is to help others. So we're super excited to be able to do that in another episode. We're super excited to have some awesome guests with us today. So there's going to be a lot of information, but we're going to get you guys through it. We're going to get you guys through it nice and smooth and quick. But before we get into all that reselling information, it's most importantly time to reveal the update on my current 7-Eleven point status, okay? So we've had a bit of a slow week, okay, since our last episode, but we have crossed the 107,000 point plateau. We are now sitting at officially 107,317 7-Eleven points. So we are super excited about that. So today's going to be a great episode. Everybody get your pens, your pads, whatever virtual note-taking you may do. We're going to give you guys as much information as possible during this episode, and we're super excited.
yeah, we are definitely looking forward to this episode. Always, we have Leroy, and Leroy's in the clear today, man. He's starting out on a good note with us in here, and he's not out catching dogs or anything else. He's in here with us hanging out. So, Leroy, what's going on, bro?
What's going on, everybody? Thank you, Eric, for giving me the right introduction. Some weeks you forget, and it really bothers me. It bothers me. I go home, I get sad. So
Today,
I'm very glad that I got the right introduction today. I'm also excited about our guest. And if there's any questions or anything that you guys have after the show, after talk, like seeing our guest, please put it in the comments. And if we have to talk to Danielle about it after and see what she says we should say for next week, but please put it in, because there's going to be some information here that we don't normally talk about that is going to help us, that we can help others or even ourselves in certain situations. So I'm actually excited about our guest today, and that's it.
Well, we are super excited to have with us not one guest, but two guests today. I've actually had the privilege and the honor of hanging out with Danielle on the 127 a couple of times, and so we actually went to where she sells out there, and I've also interviewed her for What You Picking. If you go to Obxpicker, you can go back and see those episodes where we went around the country and kind of interviewed other resellers. But today she actually has her cousin Frankie with us, and man, they've got all kinds of information to share in a unique aspect of reselling that not a lot of people may even be thinking about, but also it is options for us. So, Danielle, we are so pleased to have you and Frankie with us today. So if you guys want to give a brief introduction, that'd be awesome.
Hi, everybody. My name's Danielle, and I'm Yard Sales and Dreams on YouTube and on eBay. This is my cousin Frank, and I work with Frank part-time 2 days a week, and we're here at his house today, and he's happy to join me in talking about his reselling journey as well as mine. And yeah, we're just happy to share some information with you guys, and really glad to be here. It's an honor, and thanks for the invite, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we're so happy to have them with us today. We have wanted to check in, first of all, and kind of do a little one-on-one with Danielle about what's some reseller basics for you guys that are out there. So Danielle, we did want to check in and just see what some basics. Hold on 1 second. Let me write this down real quick. 742. I'm not sure who it is.
It's
I'm
you.
trying to figure out. Is it me?
Yeah.
I muted my let me see.
I think it's him.
I think it's him too.
It's you.
If we keep talking, does anybody hear it now?
I don't hear it. Or do you guys hear it when I talk?
No.
Okay.
Eric's got the gremlin today.
The perplexity on his face. I don't know if I wrote him a note in the private chat. I said, Eric, I think you're getting some feedback of some sort on your end. That sounds like a girl robot voice in the background.
Yeah. Frank is like, what's going on here?
I'm usually the one with the audio problems at my house.
No, what state? You guys are in Tennessee, or you guys
Kentucky.
in Kentucky?
Northern
Okay.
Kentucky, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's try it now, Eric. Oh, I can't unmute you because you muted yourself.
All right.
What about now?
You have to talk more than just one word.
Is it better now?
Yeah, it's better now. Did you have the wrong microphone on?
It was picking up my my webcam mic instead of my mic. Yeah. That's what it was. That's weird that we're doing it in our show today. All right, 742. And marker. All right, Danielle. So we did want to check with you about what a 101, like a basic thing. I know you and Frankie do something a little different than most people, but there's also a lot of people out there would be interested in maybe earning a side income. So what's a tip that you could share with them?
Okay, so as far as the aspect of someone that is living on assistance or living with an intellectual or developmental disability or disability, or someone who's just on assistance where you may it may be limited about how much money that you're allowed to make outside of that income. So for Frank, I know it was important to us to figure all that out and speak with someone from the Social Security Department before he even got rolling in this situation, because the last thing that we want to do is jeopardize the assistance that he may receive. Um, so Frank got into this journey because of because the reason that everybody else does, we want to make some extra money. We want to make some side money, right?
Right.
So I work with Frank 2 days a week, and he sees me making some side money, and he's like, I want a piece of that too, and he is all about the hustle, aren't you?
Yeah.
Why don't you tell him a little bit about like for you, what you learned about the 85-cent thing? Can you speak on that a little bit? Just in, this may not be for everyone's situation, but I know this is some information that Frankie has received from the Social Security Department.
Not everyone's case. It depends on what kind of Social Security you have. But in my case, every $85 I make, they only take $2. No, like every time I sell something, for every $85, they take $2 away.
So the percentage is very low for Frank's case, but we just try to make sure that he doesn't go over a threshold that is going to affect his income. And I advise anybody that's getting into this to try to make some side money, if you're receiving assistance, to talk to the correct people at Social Security office. Everyone has a local Social Security office that they can, look up that number in your local pages or Google that number. Just before you start this venture, it's meant to be fun. In this case, it's a hobby for Frank, and the last thing that you want to do is jeopardize something like that.
Eric, I think you're muted, bud.
I am on that sound check today. I could see how that would be a thing. For me, it's something that I have talked about a little bit about, our own situation. My wife had a stroke in 2001, so she's on disability. So I know there's only a certain amount that she can earn. I know that there's things that, obviously limit to a degree what exactly she could do anyway. So reselling, for as much as people think about all aspects of it, so there's some people that I only need to make an extra $100 a month. I only need to make an extra $200 a month. I only need, it may be a supplemental thing. It may be something to where, hey, if I can make enough to pay my electric bill this month, that's great, like that kind of thing. So I think it's super interesting that, you've taken something that for you has been a supplemental thing and made it something that is also where you can help Frankie. And it's really cool to see how that works out. So we're
it's been really fun, except for when we go to the thrift store together, and he has a really good eye, and he spots the cool stuff before I can even get to it.
There you go.
One day he stole it was like a 1980s, I want to say an Apple keyboard. I'm like, I have my eye on this keyboard, and I'm walking to it, and Frank's of course beside me, and he's rolling up, and he says, "What's that keyboard?" $5. And of course I conceded to him and let him have it.
Yeah. We sold it within an hour after we listed it.
Wow.
for nearly like $95 or something.
Hey.
Wow, nice.
That's a good
So
find.
that's the only thing. He's a little bit of a scalper when I take him thrift store shopping. I know I'm not going to get anything good today.
So, Frankie, if you're at the house and you're like, "Where's Danielle? She's supposed to be here by now." It's like, "Oh, she's going to preview the thrift store." Yeah. All right, we're gonna go ahead and jump into our next segment and find out what's trending. So we have asked, basically for kind of a just how to do things, but also like we're always curious to see what people are selling. Like, what is it that you guys are finding that is stuff that sells real good for you? It can be either a trending like topic in the sense of like Tim shared last week about the whole March Madness thing and how the teams are going through, or it could just be something that I found this consistently and sold it consistently, or this is something that every time I find this sells. So what's that like for you guys? Frankie obviously, and then yourself as well, Danielle.
Yeah, so Frank has a lot of things listed right now from the library. It's a place where we can go and source for very little money. And so he's sold, I think the most recent thing that he sold is some DVDs that we found there. But those things always work out for Frank because of the low price.
No, at the audio
Audiobooks and DVDs. And we'll always pick up, of course, children's books and things like that. But that's what Frank's been selling lately is the DVDs and the books and things, because that's what he has a lot of listed in his store. For myself, I sold a bunny yesterday, so I'm guessing that's I kind of had Easter on my radar, and so I figured whatever sort of Easter and spring and bunny type things that I had, I would go ahead and list. So I did sell a little bunny the other day for $60, paid $1 for it at the thrift store. And the thing was, have you guys ever been to a store and there's another picker in the store and you feel like, it might as well be picked over? You just kind of get that little feeling. And so I'm walking around and I found this little bunny. They had a whole, I could have went all out and bought all Easter, and this was probably 3 weeks ago, and probably made a lot of money back, but I just decided to focus on a few pieces. So I picked this one up for $1, and it was a Van Briggle pottery. And so, looked it up. I found Van Briggle in the past. I've got a little Van Briggle vase in my bathroom with a little butterfly on it. So I knew of the pottery. I knew that it was really old. It was established like back in the 1900s. So I thought it might do well. Well, when I got out to the car and I looked it up, it was selling for anywhere from like 90 to, $125 or something. So I was like, oh, so just, don't be discouraged in the fact that everyone's got a different eye, and not everyone knows everything when you're in a thrift store. So yeah, but yeah, Easter and spring and bunnies are on my radar lately.
Sounds like you've been watching RIN.
Yeah,
we were talking about that the other day. Like we definitely do talk about like holidays and those kind of things. Now I know because I've seen what you pick. Like I've seen your booth at the 127. I've seen all the cool stuff. I know that vintage and even antique and ephemera and things like that I see that you're always finding. And of course, we all follow your Instagram page, so we see all the stuff like hats and things that we like. So yeah. Is there anything vintage like antique that you're always on the lookout for? Or?
I don't know. My brain is scattered in a million ways whenever I'm out thrifting because, just doing this for so long, we've sold such a broad variety of things. I'm always looking out for vintage, period. But mid-century things, mid-century, and that can be in, 200 different categories of mid-century, but anything from the 50s and 60s that's not chipped or broken, as far as, figural pieces and vases and old photos. I mean, it's all over the place for me. My mind's all over the place when I'm in the thrift store. I get so overstimulated, and I don't know if everybody else feels like that, but I feel like I have to really tell myself, okay, you need to focus in on where you're at because you can get to that later. But I'm looking for vintage always. I like to sell what I love, and I love old stuff. And it's just something in my heart that just, drives me to the older stuff. And I don't know, that's just me. I don't really pick up things that I think might sell for 25 bucks that was made, I don't know, recently just because I'm not attracted to it. Does anybody else feel like that?
Yeah, it happens.
100%. I feel you 100%. I've been getting more picky. I've been like,
Exactly.
because where I shop, it's very cheap, so I've amassed a lot of stuff, and now I'm kind of pulling back and going, wait a minute, let's look for instead of getting 20 items, let's try to get maybe 3 to 5 items that are that we can get listed, so it's not just added to the death pile.
Yeah, that is a good point because, I love to buy smalls. Like smalls are always on my radar. Like Chris said, if you can buy something that's small and you can get it listed easily and fast and get it on your shelf and maybe flip it quick, that's also what I'm about.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We're going to go ahead and go into this next segment and talk about deep dive, but not necessarily deep dive into a product, but let's deep dive into a conversation with Danielle, and Frankie about like what does it look like for them working on eBay together.
What do you call me? You can share that.
So we did want to take some time and just ask some questions from you guys. Like, for me, when I talked to Danielle about coming on the show, and she was talking about that she on Mondays and Tuesdays is with Frankie, and kind of helping him, and that he's actually doing eBay as well. So I think that is very interesting, and I'm curious about like how did you guys start in doing that? And then B, like, what does that look like as far as you guys listing and shipping and doing all those kind of things?
All right. So Frank is, whenever we're sourcing, he is the one, looking out, and he is the eyes on his product that he's looking for. I'm there to advise him. And what do you always call me? This is kind of cute.
I call her my eBay queen. But I bought stuff without her before, and it didn't work out. So I've always known to never go eBay shopping unless it's with Danielle.
Oh,
There you go.
So Frank has a really big heart, and he also, he just likes to run things by me before he buys them because he's brought some junk in here.
Hey,
I think we've all done that.
Yeah, don't worry about that. I'm the king for that.
I mean, I end up with my own junk too. That's why it ends up at the 127 sale. But some of it's not junk. Some of it's just because I didn't have time to get to it all. But anyway, yeah. So it's been a learning experience. When he's with other people, I beg him, like, please don't shop without me. Just I don't want him to throw his money away, And so Frank's definitely the eyes of the operation because he definitely has a good eye when it comes to, seeking out things that are really cool. And we just kind of do this little filter between me and him. And, of course, I'm looking things up for him too when we're out shopping. And then, so when we get back home, I am doing like 100% of the listing for him. But then the rest of the days of the week when I'm not here, he has some of his other employees that are checking his app, making sure that he didn't sell anything that day, or if he did sell something that day, that it's important that it gets shipped out. And he does that. He takes charge of that and, informs his employees about doing that.
We take it to the post office and they,
Yeah. So Frank will go ahead and take it to the post office when I'm not around, and get it packed and shipped out and things. But yeah, for the most part, I'm doing the listing and the picture taking, and things like that, because Frank's very limited in that aspect or whatever. But yeah, it's been fun. But we do, I feel like we have to keep his listing amount low, just because, of the fact that I spoke on before about the amount of money. So that's the thing. It's like, I don't know if his store is getting the algorithm things that it needs because we're not listing every day.
Mm-hmm.
And that I sort of struggle with that as far as his eBay goes, because I'm one of those people who feel like you have to be actively listing for people to be, or for eBay to be showing your items to people. It just seems that way.
So what's Frankie's favorite thing to find? What do you have like a, I hate to say niche or niches, but like, is there something that Frankie, that you really like get excited about when you see in the store, or you find something that gets you really excited?
What's made you the most money, you think? Like,
I'd say the keyboard.
So
Yeah.
probably like old electronics that are in working order, because he's had the most success with those. So he had the keyboard sale, and that was the Apple keyboard, I believe it was. And then he actually also sold a Panasonic musical keyboard in the past that was a lot of money. He got like $500 from that.
Wow.
So anytime he sees, electronic equipment or anything like that, his eyes do kind of light up a little brighter, I think. Yeah.
Nice.
By the way, his uncle gave him that keyboard. Do you remember what the reason was that he gave you the keyboard? Something to do with the nursing home he was volunteering at, I believe.
It was a funny story, actually. I donated it. I wanted to donate it to somebody because I didn't know they had one already. And he had one, so I thought, well, maybe I wonder if that would sell.
So his uncle gives it to him so he can donate it to this nursing home fella, like a person that was at the nursing home that played music. But he had the thought, I better check this first because it might be worth something on eBay.
The guy already had it.
And the guy already had a keyboard and didn't know about it. So so then we did just verify with Frank's uncle that, hey, do you mind if Frankie sells this, because it is worth a little bit of money.
So if we
okay with it.
Go ahead, Leroy.
So if we say Frank or Frankie, either one is okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. Because some of us are calling him Frank, some of us call him Frankie. He's apparently, he's learned stuff that he normally wouldn't do now that he's doing the reselling. Does he help with shipping at all a little bit, or anything like that? Is there anything that
I would say he's an advisor on the shipping, because the employees that he has don't really know what to do without Frank walking them through it step by step.
Yep. So I love that part. Yeah.
It's all in there for him, but he has to then relay that information for someone to do.
But that's still, he's learned how to. By watching you, he's learned how to tell them how to do it correctly.
Exactly. Yeah. So he's definitely managing the shipping.
Is there anything? Have you guys ever thought about doing? I don't know. do you sell on any other platforms besides eBay? And if you do, is that something that you guys ever thought about trying also?
You know, I don't even know that Frankie. I don't know that he knows about really a lot of the other ones, just because I'm strictly an eBay person, and I haven't really shared much about Whatnot and things like that with him. But I'm sure he would probably love selling on Whatnot.
Or sourcing on Whatnot
Yeah,
too, because
that's
that
what
could
my
be a
Yeah.
lot
question was.
of fun.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
it's also information too. You know, I think that's one thing that a lot of people don't really think about from that aspect is when you can sit down and you watch some of these live sales, because there's so many different categories obviously on Whatnot. And if you watch those sales, you can kind of get an idea of what people are buying, because you get to see what people are asking for and requesting, and it's kind of like free information on what people are looking for right now. So that's kind of cool. Might be something, for him to kind of enjoy and watch and kind of get an idea of what to look for when you guys go out thrifting.
Yeah, that is a good idea. We'll have to download Whatnot onto your phone and just make sure we give you a cap, because sometimes
Yeah.
when Frankie gets excited about something, he spends a little bit too much money,
Don't worry. I think
like
once
all the rest
again,
of us.
we're all in the same boat here, bud.
Now, I do have another question. I know that you sell at the 127. Do
Yeah,
you sell at any other flea markets throughout the year, because that's only once a year, or do you just save up for that one sale?
yeah, we strictly have just saved up for that one sale. I was sharing with Eric at the beginning of this that we've had like a 9-year stretch, and with my kids being so involved with disc golf, we actually have a tournament that is in another state in Illinois, and we are going to have to miss the 127 this year, and I'm very very emotionally distraught about it actually.
Yeah.
So we've even kind of had talks about me staying behind and try to do it myself, but it's just so much work.
It is, because I sell at flea markets like um probably about 3 or 4 times a month. Because the flea markets here are like every other day. So
Yeah,
it's not down here where I am. I'm in South Carolina, and I have a Monday, a Wednesday, a Thursday, and then Saturday and Sunday.
yeah.
So I try to sell like 4 times a month. And it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Has Frankie gone to the 127 at all?
Oh yeah. Yeah. They always, along the route when they're shopping, they always stop at our booth and hang out with us, and just kind of experience what it's like to be on the seller's end. And it's pretty chaotic there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Usually people are just coming at you from like all directions, and
It's
you're, it just takes a lot. And
yeah,
to keep focused on what you're doing.
yeah.
Eric can probably attest
It,
to
it gets really overwhelming.
Eric
Yeah.
was
It's overwhelming.
me, and I'm like making sales here and there, and I'm like,
And
ah,
I will
Trust me.
tell you, I remember because I've always been a big fan of Danielle because of, like she said, her head's all over the place. So like she finds a lot of cool stuff that I've seen on her Instagram on so many different occasions. I'm just like, and I can relate to it because we kind of have that same vibe where it's like, if it's old and it's cool, like, and it looks like something different, we just pick it up and we worry about it later. And I remember when we met for the first time at the reseller rally, there was also a bunch of yard sales going on at that same time. There's a long highway yard sale through Kentucky that was going
that was
on at
the
that.
world's longest yard sale was the 127. Yeah,
No, when we went to the reseller
in
rally.
June.
I thought that was in.
Yeah,
Oh,
that was
that
in
was
June.
in 68. This for
Yes.
about 68.
Yeah, and then you had picked something up that was really cool. I can't remember. It was copper something, I believe. And I
It was
remember,
Yeah, it
yeah,
was a big copper cauldron. It looked like a
yeah.
big copper cauldron. Yeah, go ahead.
And I remember because there was I think you had got it from the same place that we had stopped by. It was like almost like a flea market sort of situation
Yeah.
along that sale during when we were in the reseller rally. And you showed it to me, and I was like, man, that looks like it could be something crazy. And I was just curious if you had ever sold it or not.
Oh yeah, big $500.
Yeah, see,
We
I knew
paid
it.
75. We paid
I re-
75 for it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was an awesome pickup. But yeah, like those sort of like when I was out there during that time, because I've only been to Kentucky once. I went to for a bachelor party. We went to did the Bourbon Trail and all that stuff,
Oh yeah.
and we went to Louisville. We stayed in Louisville. It was a ton of fun. Churchill Downs, all that stuff. But when we went out there for the reseller rally, it reminds me kind of like where Cernoch lives and like where I live, where it's like you can kind of travel to like 3 different states, like, and it's all like kind of like in the same sort of area, not too far. And the picking out there was just, I mean, I know there was a lot of that sale and some other like large sales, but the picking out there is crazy. It's crazy.
Oh yeah. We have a lot of people who settled from the eastern part of the United States, and there's a lot of history in Cincinnati itself. There was a lot of settlers, German settlers, Irish settlers from that settled in the Cincinnati area, and just a lot of history there in itself. You know, going back to what I said about the Van Briggle pottery, that man, because I don't know about everybody else, but when I buy something, I sort of go down a rabbit hole when I'm trying to find information about it. And so I learned a lot about Mr. Van Briggle and the fact that he used to work for Rickwood Pottery in Cincinnati is where he got his start. He got tuberculosis and had to move to Colorado for the drier air. And that's where he started his Van Briggle pottery business, actually in Colorado Springs. But he was originally from Ohio and had been a mentorship for the owner of Rickwood Pottery. So a lot of things around here in the Cincinnati area that go back, very like into the early 1800s and late 1700s.
And Cernoch will tell you if it's all about the story. It's all about the story behind the item when you're selling it. So
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. It's like the history and everything is a lot of fun, and I think we all definitely do a little bit more than just a little rabbit hole sometimes. I look out the window and it's dark, and I started when it was light, and then I realized I think I might have spent too much time on this one item.
Yeah. That's how I feel about the rabbit that I sold for $60. I bought it for $1, sold it for $60, but I probably spent like 3 good hours like reading about these people.
But it's education. That's what I like about it is I'm actually learning. If I wasn't learning every day about a product or how to do something faster, then it's just a regular routine. But
Right.
when I can learn something about a wrench or a screwdriver or where it was made, or my biggest thing is, oh my goodness, I've never seen that before. So if I've never seen that before and I've been doing this for 20 years, now I'm a little more excited. It could be worth $8, but I've never seen one of those. That made my day.
Yeah. And you got to look at it as you're investing in yourself too, because you're giving yourself that for the next time that you're out there.
Is there something that Frankie hasn't found yet that he's keeps his eye out for?
The wish list. Yeah.
Do you have a wish list? Like to find when we're out thrifting? I've never really asked him that before. I don't know. Is there something that you've seen on TV or a movie or anything like that strikes you?
Um, not that I can think of. One of the things I always look for, I don't know if it was just a coincidence, but one time I found an Elvis movie for a quarter and sold it for 20. So I'm always,
Okay.
yeah. So I'm always looking for Elvis movies.
He's always on the lookout for Elvis movies now because you know how that is. Once you find something for cheap,
Yeah.
sell it for a pretty good little profit, then you're kind of hooked on that item.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna tell you, like, as you've been talking, like I look up because this is what I do. I have my own little notebook that I write down stuff when we have people on. Back in the day when I did the Friday night interviews that we had you on a long time ago, but I would go out. We would do that interview on Friday night. Saturday morning, I'm hitting the street and I'm like, okay, like these people are talking about this, and like I'm going to look for it. So I actually put up a couple of comps because I do want to kind of educate people a little bit about things we talk about. So Van Briggle Like when you look up Van Briggle pottery, it is. I always do this. I always search highest to low,
Yeah.
and I started looking at this thing. I was like, man, you talking about some $1,600 like bears?
Yeah, I think they're booking.
Like some of this stuff, but you can definitely tell the little style to some of this pottery for Van Briggle. So that's if you see it, guys, look at it. Now, I have not pulled up a listing to see. Is there a marking that specifically says that?
It is a very elementary marking on the bottom. And when I say elementary, it's just very simple. And it's actually spelled out Van Briggle. And then it's like abbreviated for Colorado Springs. So it's like COLO, like
Let me see if I can pull it.
SE for Springs. I took a really good picture on the bottom of my bunny that I found. But as far as, I don't know if we can.
You guys see that?
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah, and there's sort of like a little. It looks like a tent to me with a little plus in the middle and a square on the outside of that, and that is a sign of Van Briggle as well.
That literally looks like a kid did that in art class.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, no kidding. That's what I thought too.
So, yeah,
that's what I thought too.
That's interesting though. I mean, because like looking at the comps of this stuff, I'm like, man, that's definitely worth putting in the old memory bank there to see what's going on. That's for sure. That's what we love. I mean, honestly, at the RIN, like guys, we love to learn about new stuff, and we love to help people in that regard as well. So anything you can bring to the table, it's always good.
That pottery, I think that pottery has a very simplistic style to it. Another thing I read about the man artist Van Briggle was that he was actually sent by the maker of Rookwood, or the owner of Rookwood, to study overseas. So he went to Paris and he went to several different places. I believe that China was one of them, but he brought back with him sort of a Ming glaze style. And that's what they say that his style is sort of indicative of, is Ming glaze, because you'll see that on the listings. A lot of people use Ming as part of the word descriptors.
That's neat.
Yeah,
it is neat. It is super cool to see that. You guys have any more questions for Danielle or Frank?
No, I do want to say that, I think a lot of people should take some inspiration, from Frank here, because a lot of times in our community we hear so many people complain about so many different things. They complain about fees, and they complain about the algorithm, and they complain about listing and so many different things. So I think that you see somebody like Frank doing what he's doing and enjoying it, and not complaining no matter what hurdles that he has to go through to even the smallest thing that we take for granted. So I think as resellers, especially as a community, I think it's important that we take a second to kind of step back and think about all the things that we might complain about. And when you see somebody like Frank doing what he's doing, through his condition, it should be inspirational. It should also be a wake-up call to everybody to not complain so much and be, what I'm saying, be thankful and grateful that we have this opportunity to do something that we enjoy, to make a living off of it, and to appreciate the small things. So I just wanted to say thank you to Frank for, what I'm saying, I think definitely opening my eyes, but hopefully opening everybody else's eyes to kind of like put things in perspective of what we do, how fortunate we are. And, it's easy to get lost in the sauce of complaining. And I think that your story is inspirational, and I wish you nothing but the best along this hobby and journey of yours, buddy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Frank would never say this himself, so I'm going to say this about him. But I wanted to let you guys know that you're sitting in the presence of a Kentucky colonel. So Frank is a Kentucky colonel. He was awarded in 2022 by the governor of Kentucky for his advocacy for people with disabilities. So Frank also has a YouTube channel called Advocates Are Us on YouTube. It's not reseller related, but it just sort of kind of goes down his history and his journey there with advocacy work in Kentucky.
That's
and
awesome.
his eBay handle is, I think it's Bossman Frank.
Boss Man Frank.
That's cool.
If anybody wants to check out Frank's eBay.
We just can't buy everything at once, right? Once a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll make sure to put a link for his eBay store in the
Yes.
description of this video. So at
And
least
YouTube
people
as well.
can
We'll
check
put
it
that
out.
in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
we'll
sure.
check that out. You know, Danielle, do you mind sharing like a little bit about Frank's story with the disability? Is that good for you guys to do that, or?
Sure. So Frank, he can probably tell it better than me. You want to tell a little bit about your journey? I will say I think his love for advocacy kind of started with a lot of struggles in school, a lot of struggles with just trying to get by in a school system that didn't have a lot of
Resources.
resources and just the compassion that it takes to be with someone with a disability day in and day out. He had a lot of struggles through elementary school and high school, and I think that it sort of just put a fire in him to do the advocacy work. Is that what you think? Am I right in saying that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So why don't you tell him a little bit about what you're involved with?
I'm on the PAB board with PNA, which is Protection and Advocacy, and I'm also on a committee to help employers hire more people with disabilities.
So that's like an exit program that they're working with the state of Kentucky. It's just to educate more companies on hiring some of these people that have the abilities. They might have an intellectual delay, but they have the abilities that they would need to go out into the workforce, because a lot of people end up in a adult day situation or an adult program where that's where they go for the day is just to spend time with other people with intellectual disabilities. And it's sort of a passion for Frank to get people out mixed in the community with people that don't have disabilities. He's always enjoyed conversations with people of all types, and he just wants to kind of stop the pigeonholing of putting these people in adult day programs.
So and you can explain it better. It ends up being a money deal.
Yeah, unfortunately it ends up being a situation where a person may feel like they're gaining employment, but it also sort of seems like a work labor situation too. Like what would you say? I don't even know what they call that. They're working on a bill right now to sort of get this stuff shut down, where they pay these low wages to like bag up remotes that have been refurbished and things like that.
Yeah.
And for somebody like Frank, he feels against that because
they call them
sheltered workshops. That's what they're called. And I know a lot of these people may feel like they're doing some good, and it probably does give them some purpose. But Frank had a negative situation one time happen with it. He worked for, I want to say, like 4 or 5 hours one day, cleaning and bagging up these refurbished remotes, and he received a check for $2. It was. I mean, you can tell them how that made you feel. That's been years ago, when he was in an adult day situation that he's not in that situation anymore. Luckily, because of the program that he's on now, but
it felt very degrading.
Yeah.
Because um, I ended up being wore out at the end of the day because they all worked from like 8 in the morning until like I think it was 6 on that day.
Jeez.
Doing that, but it was a long day.
and there was a set amount of money that you were supposed to get, but if you didn't complete how much they wanted you to, then they took it away from you.
That's crazy.
So he just, he doesn't want other people to feel that way. And so that's why he's part of this Employment First committee. He was appointed by the governor to do that as well.
And then the companies that do these workshops, a lot of it just end up doing it for the money, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of
tax write-offs and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Those companies are probably getting.
Yeah. Governmental kickback for sure.
Yeah. Frankie was really lucky to get in with a state program that he can be in his own home and have his own helpers come in daily and help him out, and he doesn't have to be in that situation. There is a waiting list, I know, for Kentucky for programs like this, so it is possible for people if they want to look into this kind of thing in their state, but there's oftentimes a long waiting list, and Frank was on that long waiting list for some time.
And for me, I obviously, I think about overcome stuff. My wife doesn't have full use of her right side, but like she's still able to do a ton. And recently, like using talk to text, things like that, that has helped her just with being able to communicate better with other people. I know Leroy would never say this publicly, but he's given me permission to talk about it to a degree because, like, we're talking about people that are overcoming things and not using them as an excuse, right? So, I mean, obviously, with Frank doing all that he's doing and being an advocate and talking to people about, hey, just because you're in a state of disability, like, well, what it's not hindering being able to help other people or being able to advocate and step in. Leroy uses a lot of times during listing when you see him muted out, it's not because he's ignoring people. He's actually listening, talking because for him, dyslexia is a problem. So, we thank you guys so much for coming on just to tell people, like, just because you may not have the ideal situation or what you would think would be the situation, it shouldn't stop you from being able to still be productive and still be someone who's, pushing forward and not just like obviously in Frank's situation, he's not just helping himself, he's helping other people. So, and that's really so it's awesome to hear and to have you guys on and just really kind of reminding, like Tim talked about, just kind of reminding us, like, hey, like we can all do better as people and as even in the reselling community.
Yeah.
I hope that on Tuesdays you could put our Reseller Information Network in his phone so he might not be able to communicate back with us, but he can listen to us on a Tuesday when we're normally on during the day. And if someone's there, they can tell us that he's there, and we'll definitely say hello to him because we know that we know that he'd listen to us.
Yeah, that's awesome, and it's kind of neat that now that he knows you guys and you guys put a face to him. I know I've been in the listing and loafing before, and I'm like, I'm not listing today, but I'm listening. I'm here working with my cousin Frank, and we're here. But yeah, I just thank you guys for having us on because I feel like I've known some of you guys and just in the reselling aspect, but there's also this part of my life that I feel like I've had that, I'm glad that you guys got to meet Frank, and just kind of another part of my life that I do as well as reselling, being with Frank a couple days a week. It's pretty rewarding.
Yeah. Awesome. For sure.
I'm just gonna call you Big Boss Frank from now on, though.
For real?
Okay.
Boss man Frank. Yeah.
Big Boss Frank.
And I will tell you what, he just found love within the past month.
What?
Look at him blushing.
He went to a dance and he met a girl named Mary, and they've been on 7. Is this your 7th date?
I think so.
They just celebrated their 1-month anniversary this past.
Congratulations, Big Boss Frank.
He's blushing.
So, yeah.
So is it like the movie? There's just something about Mary. Is that what it is?
His mom did make sure that they watched that movie a couple of weeks ago.
That's so cool. That is so cool.
Yeah,
he's very high on life right now.
Good.
I'm watching. That's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, we do have one question. I don't want to, when people leave questions in the comment, I want to make sure we get to it.
Yeah.
So we're gonna hit up one of these questions from Philip Catalina. Man, I struggle with names. I'm sorry, guys. Struggle with reading. I've got my own problems going on. I'm sorry, but Catalina. It says, how do you handle feedback? Do you automatically give feedback? Do you give feedback to buyers if they give feedback? How do you guys handle it? We'll just go around the horn and start with Cernoch.
Well, feedback for me, I mean, I feel like are we talking about eBay feedback and everything like that?
Yeah.
All right, I definitely watch it closely, but I try to do all the things necessary to get good feedback.
How do you handle giving feedback?
Do you give feedback on your buyers?
Oh, I have it automated. It's automated.
Okay.
So you can go into your settings and automate your feedback. So when someone leaves you feedback on an item, like once they leave you positive feedback on an item, it automatically puts positive feedback on theirs.
There you go.
So, but I've done a few recently that I'm like, wait a minute, let me type this in there before, everything, because I bought a few items and it's like, all right, let me show my appreciation.
There you go. Danielle, what do you guys do?
I'm old school personally. I wait till I get feedback to leave feedback, or at least wait till the item is received and the people are happy with it and things, because I've came across some sketchy situations over the years, and I just want to make sure that the buyer's happy before I give that buyer good feedback. I mean, even though they pay fast and all that, sometimes you get into sticky situations and I feel like you don't want to get ahead of yourself.
Yeah. Tim, what you got?
So I used to do that, right? And then I'm going to be perfectly honest with you guys. There's a lot of things that I'm very bad at, and I'm working on it as a person, okay? One of those things is, and it's weird because you guys should know by now how much I pay attention to detail. I'm very OCD when it comes to details and everything. But I don't leave feedback on a buyer or a seller. I don't have the time for it, and I feel like a bad person because of that. But maybe like I said, it is something I'm working on, and that goes for all platforms. Mercari, you have to leave feedback and as part of the completing the transaction. As far as Depop and goes, I'm really bad at it. Grailed, I don't ever do it. And I don't think you can leave buyer feedback on Poshmark, but and whatnot, I'm really bad at it. I feel bad because I buy from people and I don't leave them good feedback, and then they leave me awesome feedback on my when they buy from me, and I'm like, damn, I need to go leave that person feedback. So yes, don't be like me, be better. I probably should look into some of the automated stuff because You know me, I got a million things going on, and if I don't do it right away, I forget about it. So this is actually a very interesting question, and I'm glad it was brought up because now I realize how bad of a person I am and need to be better.
I just sent the link on doing your automatic feedback in our group chat. So.
Okay, good.
There you go.
I see Frank got a kick out of that too.
Hey, don't feel bad. For a while, Tim wouldn't even use his eBay. Keep on. We've got him on track on that as well.
We all have room for improvement, right?
There we go. Yeah.
Who needs free boxes? You know.
Leroy, what do you do? Do you leave how do you give feedback to your buyers?
So that's one of the good things that eBay did like 8-10 years ago, that they actually put that setup in. So mine's been in there for the longest time. And I do check it to make sure that it does go in and gives feedback. But that's been in there for a long time, Tim, just in case you didn't know there, buddy. That it would even automatic feedback. And it just says the same thing for everybody.
Leroy's getting a phone call. It's your feedback calling.
Yeah. I can't win.
Oh my gosh. It's so funny because Leroy's face on the bottom is like
right in your face.
Man, for me, I used to give automatic feedback to everybody, right? I used to just have that setting set to where it just like I'm not going to think about it. And then I would get people that would do like Danielle said, shady situations or like try to give me a return and like try to rip me off and do all that kind of stuff. I was like, wait, I just left you good feedback. Like, what are you doing? Like,
Right.
So now I'm honestly, Tim, I'm almost on your boat, dude. Like I'll be honest, like I only give feedback to a select few of people. Like that's just how I don't know. I did have it set at one point to where it would give automatic feedback to people who left me good feedback. But then I don't know what happened when I updated something, I removed that for some reason. So I need to go back and click it. I'll use the links. They're not just keeping it straight, dropping links in our group chat.
Yeah, and you know what? We could probably just link it down in the video below if anybody else wants to do that.
We'll do that. We'll put it in there. So if you need to know how to set it to give automatic good feedback to people who give you good feedback, then that'll be in the link down below as well, so you guys can check that out. But really, that's the only question we had for the day was just about the feedback situation. So we encourage you once again, leave questions down below so that we can have more to talk about when we're in here. We're going to go ahead and start wrapping this thing up. So I do appreciate Danielle and Frank taking time out of their day to come and hang out with us. And we are going to put all of their links down below, both Frank and Danielle's. We'll put Frank's YouTube account down there as well, too. We encourage you, go over there and check that out. And, if there's a way that we can be more supportive with it, we'll definitely shout that out on Insta as well. So we do, think a lot of what you're doing, and we appreciate both you guys being here with us and sharing your stories. So,
Well, thank you guys for having us. Thank you.
So we'll start with Leroy.
Okay, well, I mean, again, I want to thank Frank and Danielle. Thank you guys so much. And I'm excited about Frank and the ladies. I mean, I know. I know it's new for Frank, but I'm excited for him. I'm glad that I'm glad that he can I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say, but I think I'm very excited about it for him, and I actually and I'm glad that he is open to eBay, because a lot of people feel like oh well, I can't do that. And they have 800, like Tim said, they have all these excuses, and the same thing in my boat. I've used to fight to try to learn how to do talk to text when the computers wouldn't do it, and I learned that I can do it on my iMac, that I can press one button and then I can talk all my listings in it, because I used to have somebody else do it for me. I couldn't do it myself. So by Frank just opening up and being like, you know what, this is something that's been brought to me, and him working with it and teaching other people. He's teaching people that help him. He's teaching them how to do eBay by explaining to them what he needs done. I think it's amazing, Frank, what you guys do. And hopefully one day I can meet you guys.
That'd be awesome.
Cernoch.
Hey, again, praise to our guests, Danielle and Frank. Just the inspiration. You know, it kind of like, I was kind of thinking like, you know, like hearing the stories, like, man, some days in the morning I just don't want to get out of bed. Now I gotta tell myself, you don't have an excuse, bro. You know what I'm saying? Let's go. Let's get it done. Let's seize the day. Because I mean, you know, you think about it, like how many days we got left? I don't know. Let's just make every day a great day. So, you know, thank you. You know, thank y'all for coming on. And it's been a big inspiration. Hopefully, people watching will definitely get a nice big inspiration out of this story.
Yeah.
Let Danielle and Frank go next.
Well, we just want to thank you guys for giving us this opportunity to share about Frank's journey. And I'm just really glad that I have the eBay experience, that I can, you know, pass that on to him and sort of help him out along in this journey. And, you know, just helping him and being able to pursue something that might be just a little bit out of reach without the knowledge that I have. And I'm happy to do that. And I'm really happy for Frank that he's found love. And yeah, I just encourage everybody to, just if you feel that you have something that you want to do, you know, that's on your heart, just, you know, try some avenues of, you know, people around you that maybe could help you out. You never know. The worst thing someone could say is know that they really don't have time to help you or that they can't help you. But I'm really glad to be helping Frank in this journey.
Yeah.
So yes, obviously we want to give everybody a big thank you to everybody who has been watching us along this journey. Thank you to the sound department for giving me my outro music today. We also want to give a big thank you to Danielle and Frank. Like I said, I've had the pleasure of meeting Danielle before in person. She's absolutely fantastic. She's amazing at what she does. Being able to bring Big Boss Frank on the show with us today is an absolute honor. I think everybody should walk away from this being prepared to be better people, not just at reselling, but in general in life. Congratulations to Big Boss Frank on the 1 month anniversary as well, buddy. Like I said, this has been an amazing episode. I'm getting ready to leave here and just go do life and crush it. So I hope you guys are as inspired as I am after this episode. Please make sure you guys are leaving questions and comments so that we can continue to not just help us along this journey, but help other people along this journey of reselling. So as always, don't forget to tell a friend about RIN, Reseller Information Network. Do.